Hey, so I'm freshly back from a conference where I completed my profiler training with Personality Hacker. Sadly, I woke up with a fever the day after I got back. I got COVID. So I'm recording this without a lot of voice, but I'm going to do my best. So first, I want to explain how what I do with personality type is different from taking an online test. Then I want to share my formula for building your signature style using your cognitive functions. And then finally, I want to share a brief description of the 8 cognitive functions. Yeah, so before I get started on all that, I want to invite you to take my free style personality quiz, and you can find the link in the show description below or on my website, signaturestylesystems.com. Okay, so how conversational personality profiling is different from taking an online test and why the percentages don't really tell you much. So, you know how it's a forced choice test, like this or that, and you have to choose one or the other? Well, I always want to talk to the test when I'm taking those, ask it questions, explain my answers. In a conversation with me, you can explain your answers as much as you want, and it's all helpful in determining your type. So Myers-Briggs, number two, second reason conversational personality profiling is different. Myers-Briggs is actually a code pointing to which of 8 cognitive functions are your mind's preferred wiring. It goes a level deeper and more helpful than just the 4 dichotomies, which the 4 dichotomies are introvert versus extrovert, intuitive versus sensor, thinking versus feeling, and judging versus perceiving. So the tests, even the official Myers-Briggs assessment, have a significant error rate because they only measure the dichotomies. They actually don't look at the cognitive functions at all. So the scores for the second and third dichotomies, intuition and sensing, and feeling and thinking, they can be really close for functions 2 and 3 out of there's 4 cognitive functions in your cognitive function stack. But with a conversation, it's easier for us to see which variety of each function a person's using, which variety of each function you are using, because everyone has some of all of them. It's not like being an intuitive or sensor is a binary. You're not one or the other. You're a certain degree of preference for one versus the other. Okay, and then finally, each of the 4 functions, intuition and sensing and feeling and thinking, can be used internally for processing or externally for living. This is called introverted or extroverted attitude, and they're really quite different. So, for example, someone who is a thinker is not the same. Their thinking, their cognition, their decision making is not the same based on whether or not they're using their thinking introverted or extroverted. And so when you have me profile you, I explain all that. So here's my formula for signature style. And my formula includes using the first 4 functions. So your first function, or your driver, that's the part you identify the most with. And this is probably already a major component of how you dress, and it should be. Your second, or co-pilot function, is a really important strength that many people fail to communicate visually. Last week's podcast kind of was talking about that, went further into that. So your third function is a place of playfulness. So this can add flair to your style, or you can have like a separate look for fun times. Yeah. And then finally, your fourth function, it's a position of aspiration. So you can use that to sort of inform how you put the rest of it together, or you can use it as an accent. So here are the functions themselves. The perceiving functions, also known as learning functions, are introverted intuition, which is learning through pattern recognition in contemplation. It's taking other perspectives. Extroverted intuition is learning by pattern recognition in real time, and it's exploring. It's also curiosity. Introverted sensing is learning through sensory experience of self or others in rumination. So it's post-processing experiences. Then extroverted sensing is learning by sensory experience in real time, being in the moment. Then there are 4 judging, also known as decision-making functions. The first one, I'm just going in whatever order. It's not or ranked order or anything. So extroverted thinking uses impersonal criteria to get things done in the outer world. It's about data and metrics, forward progress, and effectiveness. Introverted thinking is using impersonal criteria internally to evaluate truth, logic, conceptual categorization, and accuracy. Extroverted feeling uses personal criteria, that is, what's important to people, to get needs met in the world. It's about culture and social norms and harmony. And then introverted feeling uses personal criteria internally to evaluate convictions, motives, and identity. It's about self-expression and authenticity. That was the 8. So do you know your type and your functions? This is the part of the show when I normally assign homework. Today, I'm just asking you to please stay home if you can when you're sick. And if you have influence over policies that would allow others to do that too, please use your influence for good. Thank you so much for being here. I'll meet you back here again real soon.